As strong as the United States is, we can't deal with terrorism alone. What people have the capacity to choose, they have the ability to change. I have always thought of myself as a Czechoslovak Catholic. I loved what I did. I could have been Secretary of State forever. My mindset is Munich. Most of my generations is Vietnam. I was a little girl in World War II and I'm used to being freed by Americans. Take it from someone who fled the Iron Curtain, I know what happens when you give the Russians a green light. So people are talking about revolution. What a revolution it would be to have a woman president. I loved being Secretary of State, that's probably evident to everyone who watched me. The difference between humans and other mammals is that we know how to accessorize. It's one thing to be religious, but it's another thing to make religion your policy. I've never seen America as an imperialist or colonialist or meddling country. Hate, emotionalism, and frustration are not policies. The only thing I have to go by is what my mother and father told me, how I was brought up. I spent my life studying communism and Soviet systems. Life is grim, and we don't have to be grim all the time. People are finding it harder and harder to relate to foreign policy. There is a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. To understand Europe, you have to be a genius, or French. Nobody's ever said that pins are a tool of diplomacy. Most of the time I spend when I get up in the morning is trying to figure out what is going to happen. I was in Europe and it was at this stage that I fell in love with Americans in uniform. And I continue to have that love affair. The best book, like the best speech, will do it all, make us laugh, think, cry and cheer, preferably in that order. NATO has been a thread throughout my life. I'm a problem solver. I think women want to take care of themselves, and I think having a voice in how that is done is very important. I believe that my parents did wonderful things for us. No matter how hard we might wish, we will not be able to transform China's behavior overnight. What a blast it is to be here with Michael Moore. I think the personal relationships I established mattered in terms of what I was able to get done. And I did bring women's issues to the center of our foreign policy. I think I've revived the costume jewelry industry. My parents were of the generation who thought they were the children of a free Czechoslovakia, the only democracy in Central Europe. I think that there is never an indispensable leader, you know. I think that there is a time with dignity that one needs to leave. It took me quite a long time to develop a voice, and now that I have it, I am not going to be silent. I've never been to New Zealand before. But one of my role models, Xena, the warrior princess, comes from there. If you look at my life, Generally, I've been put in situations which were difficult and which I conquered. Women can't do everything at the same time. We need to understand milestones in our lives comes in segments. As a leader, you have to have the ability to assimilate new information and understand that there might be a different view. Well, the thing that I learned as a diplomat is that human relations ultimately make a huge difference. The magic of America is that we're a free and open society with a mixed population. Part of our security is our freedom. We live in an image society. Speeches are not what anybody cares about, what they care about is the picture. Hussein has chosen to spend his money on building weapons of mass destruction and palaces for his cronies. While democracy in the long run is the most stable form of government, in the short run, it is among the most fragile. I did go to Wellesley, a women's college. And I am of a kind of strange generation which is transitional in terms of women who wanted to go out and get jobs. I can't go out with a Republican. I know that war is very cruel and that life is harder when you aren't able to live in the place you called home. I have had fun being who I became, so to speak. Women have to be active listeners and interrupters, but when you interrupt, you have to know what you are talking about. I can't imagine what it is like to be raised in a society where the only statues that exist are to you and your father. You think that the heads of state only have serious conversations, but they actually often begin really with the weather or, "I really like your tie."